We're ready.
Okay. So, hopefully everybody has the agendas that I sent out. Before we get started, let's just go around really fast and introduce ourselves so that we all know which area we're teaching in and so that Molly can better address some of your questions possibly. So if we can start with Peter, since you're already big on our screen.
Okay, I'm Peter Martinez. I work for the Bucks Department, Business Accounting. I teach entry level for accounting. I also teach the principles of Accounting 1, Accounting 2, and I'm also teaching this BSA 102.
Is this the address?
Yeah. All right. What was the last thing you taught? Accounting?
BSA 102, and I've been in the teaching field for about 24 years now.
Super cool. All right, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Marshall, and I am teaching one class. I'm teaching the Intro to Exceptional Learner in the ECE EDU Education Department.
Wonderful, thank you. Alyssa?
Hi, my name is Alyssa Talley, and I'm teaching the Principles of Management class. This is my first time teaching, so far, it's a very large class actually, but it's been pretty fun and I like it so far.
Good. You and Peter are in the same division together.
Oh, okay, Joyce Division. Hi, Peter. We haven't got a chance to meet yet. And you guys might see my cat come around and say hi. He likes to jump up whenever I'm on the computer.
Oh, I love it. Good. All right, Susan.
Oh, yep. I'm Susan Mucci. I teach on the Verdi. I'm just here for a few minutes. I teach in psychology, the introduction, human development, dream interpretation on the Verdi campus. So I'm just looking in for a few minutes.
All right. Good deal.
Good.
Samantha.
I'm Samantha Fitch. It's my second semester teaching online with Yavapai. I taught English 100 last semester and English 101 this semester.
And I forgot to add the meeting on to your tasks, right?
Oh yeah, but it's
you're up to 6.
Yeah, okay. That's
okay, so sorry about that.
Yeah,
I don't know how I didn't remember to do that.
That's fine.
Good. And then over here, I don't know if you can see us all, okay, but we have Molly, our speaker tonight, and Peter.
I'm Pete Latka, and I teach philosophy, critical thinking, and ethics.
All right.
And Norm Healy.
All right. And what do you teach, Norm?
I teach I teach Crim Justice. I teach business public administration for Grand Canyon, and then I teach business public administration Crim Justice for the University of Phoenix. I teach all online because my voice was damaged by an illness. I'll leave it at that. And so it has affected my speech, and I've had to transition to online.
I bet your fingers are really fast with that many classes.
They are.
All right.
And I'm Molly Bushman. Happy to be here tonight. I'm actually teach math. That's what I do. But I'm also the district assessment director. So similar to the position for the adjuncts, so a full-time faculty member, they allocate us some time to do some other items. So since assessment is faculty driven, they have a faculty member take care of assessment. I also work with all the dual enrollment mathematics instructors. I'm their liaison. So I consider them all of our adjuncts as well. So I think that's it, math and assessment and dual enrollment. So what I wanted to talk to you tonight about is just our assessment process at Yavapai. There are different levels. The one that you're in the middle of right now always is your course assessment, right? So whenever you sign up for teach a course here, you get a course outline, and that course outline has all of the learning outcomes. And then it's up to us as instructors to assess those learning outcomes, and our grades reflect the attainment of outcomes at the end of the semester. So you're definitely in the middle of assessment, always. So it's that continuous process of identifying what your outcomes are up front, finding out some way to get feedback about how students are doing. So your assessments are anything from questioning in class, to your online discussion boards, to papers you have them turn in, tests, any sort of feedback that you get, and then we use that to either modify our instruction to help our students get caught up or to where we'd like them to be, or we modify curriculum in some way. So that's the assessment process. It's a continuous cycle of getting information, and most important on the course level. So before we get to the next level, we've got someone that just came in. So I get you to introduce.
I'm Jason Hook. I am over at the CTEC Center on Ruger Road over there. I teach welding and an auto body course.
All right, great.
Yeah.
I need to come take your welding course.
Okay, great.
When my kids are teenagers, I'll be taking your auto body course.
Oh, good. Very good.
So I just wanted to ask first, with the courses that you're teaching, the outcomes that are on your course outlines should be written in a way that are measurable in some way. And we are starting a process formally to go through a third of the programs each year to check course and program outcomes to make sure everything is measurable, that you can assess it. Do you have questions about course assessment before we hop up to the next level?
For learning outcomes in general, were you all good with the courses you're teaching and understanding what you need to teach and all that other stuff?
I based my syllabus off of that. I kind of went.
Yeah, that's
What
like,
was already there, you know.
Yep. Oh yeah, you're not supposed to create any of them. They're already there. They've already been rubber stamped with approval through curriculum committee, and they're published on our website.
Right, and I was going to point that out that I guess I wasn't even aware what the shall stood for, but I now know what that means. But again, like you just pointed out, the course, the SLOs were provided to us, and I guess we're not creating our own, but we're just working off of what is already in the shall and just importing it over to our syllabus so students can continue to work with what was created by the faculty at the college.
Yep. Yeah. So the course outcomes themselves are go across all of our courses, and the reason for that is we have articulation agreements with other schools in the state. So if they're taking Math 142 here or a transfer class, it has to have the same outcomes in every class to be able to be transferable. If you work in or teach in an area that has a third-party certification, they have requirements as well as what needs to be in there. So all of our course outcomes are written really with the program in mind. So what I think is really nice is that we have business programs represented, ECE, we've got a couple of general education departments like psychology, English, philosophy represented. We've got CTEC, and hi, nice to see you again. do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. I'm April, and I teach the Intro to Social Work class and the Case Management class.
How are your kids?
Better. Not the flu, that's all I keep saying. The flu.
So another gen ed area represented. So we have it from all the different areas. So that's the first level of assessment, is your course assessment. Okay, the next level is a program. So all of your courses are a part of a program in some fashion. So they connect, can I borrow your keyboard? So what I wanted to take you on was a little tour.
I'm not sure how to make it. Do you know how to make it show the screen?
I do. Okay. So I wanted to, I do have access to my files in, if I open another window, right? Or
which files? The ones we pulled up?
Yeah.
I think you can drag those guys over there.
Okay, let me maybe find it, the file. Actually, what I really want to go to on our front page, and then I'll share the screen. There's the gecko, but I also want to go to the degrees. Okay, let me get back to Zoom and I'll share the screen. Okay, there's our meeting.
Don't do that.
Don't hit end meeting. Note to self. All right. So on the screen, all the degrees and certificates from curriculum are loaded in here. And I did want to show you that inside each of these degrees, let's pick one that we have. We've got business. Accounting is just go alphabetical. We've got somebody here from accounting, teaching some accounting classes. The degree in accounting also has program outcomes. So let me scroll down a little bit. Here are all the program requirements, all of the courses that are required to get us an Associate of Applied Science degree in accounting, along with all the gen ed component, electives, and at the bottom, these program outcomes describe what students will be able to do when they finish the entire accounting program. So your courses, all of your courses are a very integral part of all of our programs here. So if you notice the outcomes, second one, perform managerial accounting functions using proper format and procedure. After that are listed the courses that feed into that outcome. So the very first outcome has a whole bunch of courses that feed into it. Perform financial accounting functions using proper format and procedure. So these are a lot more general than your course outcomes. So the program outcomes are designed to be fed into by many different courses. And what I don't think that I have access to, because I didn't log in, is a curriculum map that shows you how everything is aligned. Do you have yours? Mm-hmm. Yours is quite beautiful. So I'll have Tara pull the one up for the AA in education, and I'll show you what a curriculum map is, and this is why there's not a lot of wiggle room in the courses.
If we wanted to make any changes, what's the process to submit?
So changes are through the curriculum site, and if you want to make changes to a course, a degree, it has to be filled out, taken to your program director, approved by the dean, sent to the curriculum committee, voted on and approved, and then the changes take place. And any submissions for the changes have to be submitted by October 31st to go into effect the next catalog year.
I see.
It's a year out.
Right.
Because it's here's a curriculum map for the associate. Oh, you got is that the AAS?
It's AAE. I don't have the early childhood stuff.
Okay, no, that's fine. This is the Associate of Arts in Elementary Ed. So the curriculum maps, and these aren't online yet. They will be. We're in the middle of getting all our assessment process revealed. So as you scroll down, you see where the program outcomes are. All the courses are listed across the top, and then the outcomes match from the courses are mapped to the program outcomes. So it's all part of a very big picture. So where we are in the wide world of program assessment right now is having everyone take a look at their program outcomes, make sure they're written so that they're measurable. Take a look at your course outcomes, make sure they're measurable, and then align the course outcomes to the program to make sure you're doing everything that you need to in your program. So what these are for are to give you information about, am I teaching everything I need to? Do I need to make any adjustments to my outcomes? Are my courses covering what I want adequately? And then when, as this process that we're doing right now keeps going, this will be put on our website for the public and for students. So this is so students know why they're taking the classes. This is, instead of having students read through all those outcomes, here's the education program at Yavapai. Boom, it's all on a map. Okay, so the first part of the assessment process is making sure your outcomes are measurable in your courses, but also making sure your courses and your program outcomes are aligned. Okay, so then that brings us to the next level of assessment, which is program assessment.
I have a quick question. This is Alyssa. Are program outcomes more aligned with the dean, and then the actual professors are more, usually involved with the class outcomes?
Yep. So the program outcomes themselves are usually approved by, if they're occupational programs like business programs, the ECE, not necessarily the AA, but the occupational degrees, the outcomes are presented to an advisory board made up of community members in that particular job area. And between the faculty, the dean, and the advisory board, they're approved. Because for occupational degrees, the goal is that at the end of your degree here, you're ready for work. So that's who approves the programs and the not necessarily the wording on the outcomes, but the idea of the outcomes. Curriculum committee wordsmiths it. Assessment committee looks at it so that they're measurable. So that's who that's where the program's outcomes come from. For the general education outcomes, such as the English, what else, philosophy, psychology, we have general education departments or requirements. So let me get to the gen ed piece.
Did that answer your question?
Did that answer?
Yes, I definitely understand it. Thank you.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of collaborating.
A lot goes into creating a program and the courses that go with the program.
And most of the people that go to articulation task forces are designated full-time faculty. So like in the AAEE, if anything changes there, I have to take it to ATF and make sure that it'll transfer to all the universities before I come back and make the changes. So certainly as adjunct faculty, if you have feedback on course outcomes, let the lead faculty member know, wouldn't you say?
I would.
And
yeah.
And they would be the ones responsible for running it through curriculum committees and articulation task forces and advisory groups and all that other stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
And so that's why we say use the documents, the outcomes that are existing. They have gone through a large or lengthy.
So it's a lot of work just to get those outcomes. I mean, it's my first class, so I just saw outcomes, but obviously there's a whole process, I guess, that goes behind them.
It is. We have a curriculum committee, an assessment committee, and a general education committee that all work together to make sure that the outcomes are written correctly. We have articulation members, the articulation task force members. For Gen Ed, our math representatives make sure that all of our classes articulate with the classes across the state. So there is a lot of collaboration on a state level.
Sometimes I'd say flexibility in teaching because it's not how you teach, it's just what you teach.
No, it's just here are the outcomes, and then the flexibility is however you want to teach it, however you get there, fine with us. Unless, some have a
Quick question.
math has common finals, but that's math, right? All right. So the occupational program side of it has either an advisory board or they have a third-party accreditor. So nursing gets accredited by the nursing board, not by Yavapai or anybody else. So they have to satisfy the accreditation and the curriculum requirements by their third party. So some of the occupational areas have third-party accreditors.
CTEC have a lot of that, don't they?
Yeah, and a lot of requirements and a lot of forms and everything else you have to fill out to get the funding and to be compliant. It's okay. So, so assessment is complicated, right? This is just the outcomes and aligning them. So the next piece of it, if you're teaching in a gen ed area or any of the programs, we have something, the general education. For the transfer programs, there's something called the AJEC. And the AJEC is the general education core, for the most part, required by the state, and it's how we address it. So you'll notice, those of you teaching in gen ed areas, you'll see your topics up here. So arts and humanities, historical perspective, behavioral sciences, social sciences, along with critical thinking, scientific literacy, quantitative, written communication, diversity, and civic. These in the yellow correspond to actual gen ed departments. So each of these departments also have their own, what we would call program outcomes, but they're certainly not, advisory boards that take a look at them. So let me scroll down here. What GECKO is, this is something that the college voted on 4 or 5 years ago that we think is important that every educated person should know. So the GECKO are assessed by both the gen ed and the Associate of Applied Science faculty. We assess both. So there's 10 of those. We're in the process of trying to simplify this and make it fewer of those. Because if you've probably had a course on the GECKO list. So if you haven't, I'll show you how you do that. Okay. So I'm going to pick one that's in the middle here. That's let's pick written communication. Okay. So when I go down here, we have, it's on both the AJEC and the GECKO list. So I'll click this one. Written communication has its own program outcomes on our website. So here's written communication.
That mouse is really hard to use.
It is, I'm noticing. So this describes written communication. The group of faculty members from English and other interested faculty members from across the college created a assessment rubric for English. We have 3 outcomes: apply research methods, integrate, synthesize, and document sources, generate organized and logical writing, etc. And a rubric.
Now, Suzanne, is that Suzanne speaking? Or
It's Molly.
Still Molly.
oh, sorry, Molly. I guess my question is: are these institutional learning outcomes, or are these program level outcomes?
Right now, they are semi-institutional. When I say that, I mean written communication is assessed in the English department, but also across the Associate of Applied Science and the AA degrees.
Okay.
Okay, so close to institutional.
Okay.
In that it's not assessed in the student development area, and it's not assessed in the community education area. So what we're trying to do, this is our process that we developed 5-6 years ago. We review it every 5 or 6 years and make changes. So the next idea is to make them institution-wide, have fewer, but make them all-encompassing. So that's what we're moving towards.
That's good.
The current is, if you're assessing written communication, everybody assesses using this rubric, but you can use whatever assignment you want. Okay? So reason why I think this is kind of important, it's not just the English faculty that assess written communication. Every Associate of Applied Science degree that we have, all 30 of them, have identified a course in their program that they're also going to assess written communication. So everybody from English assesses written communication. Everybody that has English 101 as a prereq and is an intensive writing course assesses written communication, and 30 different classes in the AAS programs assess written communication. They put it in through Banner, it all comes to me, and I make this big report, and then I meet with the English faculty department, and we do all kinds of stuff with it and have our result. So how do you know, here's my question, how do you know when you're supposed to assess? Did anybody ever tell you that, hey, you might have a class on the Gecko list this term? Probably not, right? Okay, that's okay. So here's how you tell. And I send out a reminder to all adjuncts, all full-time, all everyone, reminding every semester that we do this. So I can't go into Tara's because I don't want to, I have classes to assess on mine, but I don't know if she does. So I'm going to show you the email that I send out every semester. So this is the institution assessment piece where if you're teaching in any sort of gen ed program or any AAS program, you may need to assess. So how do you know if you're supposed to? It's through Banner, crazy enough. And what you do, when you log into your website, you click on the, I laughed when Suzanne said this one day. She said, the universal symbol for faculty, which is a bell. Kind of laugh. And you have a menu that comes up, student outcome assessments. And if you click on student outcome assessments, if your class has been selected to collect data institution-wide this term, ta-da, your class pops up. So here's what happens. Do you have any that you know, Kyle?
This semester,
Or even
I'm
last.
sure. Oh, last I had like 4. My intro to ed.
So I might
class,
have
I had
you
2 sections.
I might have you pull that up.
Okay.
Just for fun. So what happens are the classes that you're teaching, and then whether you're assessing or not. And what you do is you click on your class. We pick a random sample of 10 students in the class, and you enter scores 4, 3, 2, 1 from the rubric of how your students are doing in that particular topic. So if it's written communication, you look at the written communication rubric. You have some written assignment in your class, and then you make a judgment based on that rubric. Are my students a 4, which is way above and beyond, a 3, they got it, they're good, meets expectations, a 2, not quite there, a 1, not there at all. We put in A for the Associate of Applied Science folks for not applicable, because on the written communication, there's something in there about citing your sources. That might not be something you're in your Associate of Applied Science program that you care about. We don't do that, but not applicable. And then we have the great V for vanished. Students that are on your roster that didn't show up that day to take the assessment, or they just disappeared.
I always forget what that V is for, and I have to watch that video that Suki made over and over again.
They vanished. We don't know where they went. I don't have assessment information. So we don't score them like it's 0 because they didn't actually do anything. So they get the B. Okay, so that's how you enter your data.
And you get emails reminding you to do this.
So that's what this is right here, as I just went and made a PDF of the email I send out every semester. And I let you know civic engagement, diversity awareness, whatever we're up for institutional, with directions and screenshots on how to do it. There's a Gen Ed homepage, how to get there to see the rubrics. And then if you have questions, contact me or Suzanne Waldenberger, and then we'll help walk you through it.
And there's no extra charge, right?
No extra charge. We do it for, I don't know why we do it. We do it for the torture. No, we really want to get information. So the Gecko and the other item, I think, besides your course outcomes that you assess is the Gecko outcomes that you may be selected to assess. Your program directors may or may not remember to remind you. So what I do, I just go to click on outcomes assessments, and if my class pops up, I know that I have to assess that term.
And it's important to remember that you're not judged based on the scores you give people. They don't like track this back to you and judge you as an instructor. They just honestly want to know if these students are meeting these levels that have been established somewhere during their time here.
Yeah, and I've got a couple of minutes. Do you have your, do I? No, I don't. My watch is slow. So in your Canvas shell, there's a little video that tells you how to do the Gecko stuff.
You can pull mine up if you want to.
On your My Services?
Or the bell.
The bell. So if you look at a specific example, student outcome assessments, these are here. These were the 2 classes that Tara had, and she's completed. Thank you for completing.
You're welcome.
And I don't know if I can click on that for FERPA reasons, because it lists 10 random students from her class, and then she scores those. That's how come it can't be hooked back to an evaluation, because it's only a random sample of 10 from a class. And then we compile all of this information so that we can see how are we doing as an institution at written communication. And then we make some changes based on that.
And it can be I grade my students sort of holistically based on all of their written assignments or whatever, their final grade. So you don't necessarily have to have one specific assignment aligned to that learning outcome.
We tried to make it as free and open as possible so that you could assess it how you wanted to. What makes it still valid and reliable is that the rubric that we use is the common rubric. And we have an assessment day every year where we talk about what a 4 means, a 3, a 2, a 1 for the category coming up. So if you're not sure, your program director should have some idea. And you'll even find 9 times out of 10, oh, those geckos, just fill it out. So we just give it the best honest shot that we do, and then we can find trends in the data. And it's for us to make improvements on what we feel are important. Because we want everybody to be really good at communication when they leave here. It's not just the English department's job to do that. Because 1 or 2 classes, we want to make sure that that's throughout. The things that we find really that we value and are really important, we want to assess it throughout and reinforce it over and over again so students can get that skill.
It's usually at the end of the semester that you ask us to input this information.
Yep.
So you don't throughout, or is
always
it
know.
We select the classes after the FERPA date so that anybody that you were going to drop out of your class is dropped. And then we open it up to have less vanished. Fewer V's. All right, my time is up. That was the assessment update.
Any quick questions? This is not a simple.
No, that was
to Molly, who spends a lot of her day. Luckily, she's a math instructor, so she's okay with gathering and analyzing data. The rest of it has been.
The only thing I just wanted to say thank you very much, Molly, because the way you explained it, and obviously there's instructions how to follow through it, pretty much the manual's there for us. I think that's going to be incredibly helpful, and I thank you for that. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting me today. I appreciate being able to come in and talk about assessment. It seems to be what I do all day.
You're next.
Good thing I like it. I love those numbers. All right, thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your meeting. And
Thank you.
Some extra
Enjoy your pizza.
Whatever my husband cooked that was frozen is what we're having for dinner. And I appreciate it.
Because it'll be done in ready.
So frozen pizza in the State of the Union. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Stick with the pizza.
We have, can you all still hear us on Zoom? Everybody doing okay? All right. So we have Megan Paquette and Jody Scholler joining us today from Student Services to tell you about some really important tools at our disposal, namely Early Alert and then whatever else.
And academic advising. So I want to go show you our website.
Yeah.
So I'm the director of advising services.
Do whatever you need.
And so I brought some things. And I wanted to review some. Yeah, it is touchy.
Speedy?
A little bit.
Feel free to sign me out or do whatever you need.
Okay, how do
Just
I?
don't close that little Zoom. That one.
And then I want to. Thank you.
Probably that one I'm good. Just pick a random. Yeah, that's right there.
I was great to hit that.
Switch down one.
So let's
Oh, there you go.
okay. And so we'll just go back to yc.edu. Okay, so from the Yavapai College homepage, hopefully,
I can. You can X all of them. Start over again. Oh, well, hang on. Maybe not the one on the right. That one.
Oh,
there.
oh, here we go. Okay.
I was
It's a
gonna say they've been
little
updating the website.
Yeah.
Oh, is
Because
that
now
why
you
you
see the new green. Now you
Yeah,
see
the green is
thing.
on there now, which is kind of nice. Okay, so from wherever you're at, yc.edu/advising will get you to the advising website. From here, we're the first one under academics.
It's because you started.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
Alphabetical.
So we really encourage students to meet with us early, to meet with us often as they need. And we really want students to start their education with the end in mind. It makes things a lot easier when they're taking classes. A lot of our students are part-time, they're working, they have families. They're on financial aid, using financial aid, so their resources are important to them. And we want them to make the most of their time here and be efficient in doing that. And so we're here to help them with that. Students have a lot of resources that are available to them through the advising website. Our contact information is on there. And I brought some resources if you want to hand those out to them, or even make it available if you have online classes. We have if they want to change their program, if they want to email us, if they can't come in, they can always give us a call. We have a advising email on here. Our phone numbers are on there. We have Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, the CTEC Center, Verde Valley. We have advising services at all of those places, not all of them all the time, but we try to accommodate students as best as we can. If they're not able to come in, if they're online students, we can meet with them over the phone, we can email with them, whatever is most convenient for them. We just want to make sure they get the information that they need. We have, so transfer resources, this site is getting updated. We have student resources. If a student isn't sure where they should go for help, this is a great place. They can always just contact us and go, hey, I've got this issue. What do I do? Where do I go? And we can always help them with that.
I try to remind my students, like after spring break, when the next semester's registration is opening up soon, just a quick little, make sure you go talk to your advisor and sign up early so your classes don't fill up. And because they sometimes, that's totally off their radar when they're worrying about finals and all this other stuff. So
yeah, and especially going from spring into fall. Fall is so far away. Yeah, I can't think about that right now. But it really is in their best interest to plan ahead. So even if they start thinking about it before spring break, because things then start getting busy and they may not be able to get an appointment that's convenient for them before registration opens up. There is a withdraw deadline for students. So they can initiate a withdrawal through March 10th. After that, it's out of their control. If that is a possibility for them, we really encourage them to really come and see us because that could have financial aid repercussions. And so if they're depending on that funding to attend, they really should see us and make sure they understand what that might mean. We have a job coach as well, and she is available to work with students who aren't quite sure what they want to do and they want more information about what might be available in Yavapai County. She can talk to them about employment trends and availability in the county. She can also work with them to look at internships. A lot of them are paid internships, which is fantastic. So that is a really great resource that's new. There's an employment kiosk that they just put in over in student lounge.
it's a nice building, yeah,
just kind of on the other side of the
Right, a giant TV and video games.
and a life-size Connect board. That's your
Yeah. So when they go on there, it's already logged into the employment website. So students can look for employment opportunities in the county through there as well.
Is the job coach located in the Rising
Yes.
area?
Yes,
Full
and
time?
she is, she goes between the Prescott campus. She has hours at the Verde campus. Her contact information is out there. They can, touch base with her. Yeah, absolutely. Any questions about that?
I'm glad you mentioned financial aid because every semester I have a student that's like, should I get an S or a U or a grade or a, what should I do? And I never know what to tell them. So I always say, go talk to your advisor because everybody's in sort of a different situation.
Yeah, and financial aid is a little bit, federal financial aid is a little bit different than somebody who's getting veterans educational benefits. And so, yeah, they really need to know kind of the parameters and exactly because with one, they may have to pay it back. With one, they may not have to, but it may still count against them in the long run. And
I see that with VA and the other colleges I teach for, and my VA students are very concerned about maintaining a certain level because they say they can lose that.
Yeah, they can lose it, and they are, if they end up dropping out, withdrawing from something, or if they get a U instead of a failing grade, they could end up having to pay that back. And nobody likes to owe money.
And then some students are on like academic probation, right?
So there's academic, there's their academic standing, and then there's a financial aid standing. And that's kind of two different things, but they could be very much tied together. So yes, absolutely. Have them come talk with us and we can try and help sort it out. And there's a program that's available to them called DegreeWorks that allows us to create a semester by semester plan for them. So they can see, if they come and meet with us ahead of when registration opens up, they can have their plan in there. And if something happens and a semester doesn't go according to how they thought it was going to go, come in and talk with us and we can adjust that so they can get back on track. Any questions about that? All right. So Megan is here to review the early alert system with you.
So I'm scared to touch the mouse because nobody seems to like it. Okay.
Just squirrely.
Stop here. Okay, there. So, hi everybody. Did you guys all get the early alert email page? Okay, so I'm just gonna go through that. I'm gonna pass that out for you guys. There's a lot extra. Perfect. Steal them. So as we were kind of talking about, so students aren't sure, like, is a withdrawal a good thing? Should they just take an S or a U? Or, you know, as Molly was talking about those vanishing students. So what do you do with students who aren't doing well or maybe stop participating or have behavioral issues? So we have the academic early alert system. So obviously we encourage faculty to try and reach out to the student first, because you're the ones that will most likely see them in class, but we also understand that after you've tried to contact them, what else can you do? So an early alert, if you go into your My Services area and select My Web Applications, you'll be able to see a little flyout menu that'll have early alerts. From there, you'll kind of pick what class and pick what student, because it'll bring up your roster for each of your classes. And let's say a student is an online student and they stopped submitting assignments for like a week and they haven't done their discussion boards. So you would take a little note of that, and then the academic advising team gets an email sent to them with that alert for that student. Now, at the same time, that triggers an email to the student. So automatically, they're already kind of getting a contact point. But what that does for advising is we will actually start trying to call them and email them, get them to come in for an appointment, and talk to them about that issue that they're having in class. You know, maybe they do want to withdraw from the class because something's happening. So that's a really good opportunity for us to open up the communication lines and talk about, well, you're on academic probation, so what does that mean if you withdraw from this class? Or, you know, okay, you're on veterans benefits, what does that mean if you take a U grade or stop participating? So we can kind of look at them as like more of an individual versus like, hey, you just withdrew, what's happening? So
what's that email look like? What would you say in that initial email?
The initial email usually just says an academic early alert has been submitted from your instructor for this course. Contact academic advising, and it gives our contact information.
There seems to be a bit of a disconnect between the early alert and the push to do a faculty withdrawal in the first couple of weeks. And that then complicates, because I have a 7-week course.
Yes.
Everything
which is, like,
is not due until the end of week 1.
Yes.
And some of those don't begin to submit until end of week 2. So you have this push to withdraw, and yet you have the early alert. How do you
navigate
integrate
that?
those? Yeah.
There's a similar conflict with FTSE as well, which is when you guys will have to kind of lock your class into that full time, who is actually in the class type thing. So what we usually recommend is
it's online, right?
Yeah.
I have my students, so every semester starts on a Monday for the most part, except for this semester.
Yeah.
And if they don't submit a discussion board post or send me an email or something, there's something for them to do by Thursday at midnight, Friday, they're dropped. And if they write to me and say, I had a family emergency or whatever, then we can add them that next week with division dean approval. But I think the idea is not to let those people that have no intention of continuing, or even there are fake students out there that just go get financial aid and sign up for classes and not do anything, right? I mean, that's probably a very small number of them, but that's the way I kind of weed out mine.
Yeah, it's tough because there's this fine line.
I was gonna say, your 7-week class, the withdrawal date I think is early, or like add date and withdrawal dates are sooner than the full semester classes. So, but that might be something good to do with an online, do like that early in the week assignment, just to try and see if they at least post, yes, I'm participating. It gives them a chance. But otherwise, I was like with FTSE, I would say use your discretion. If it's someone who is very, very active for like the whole part of the beginning of the course, if you've tried to reach out to them, maybe they haven't responded, set an early alert as soon as you can, because if you send it like the day before FTSE and then you drop them, we probably might not get to.
Do you all know what FTSE is?
No.
FTSE.
So like full-time student enrollment. Yeah, full-time student enrollment. Usually like mid-semester.
Mid-semester, you get asked to verify your roster, so you look through and make sure everybody on your roster is actually showing up and participating, and that's your
reminder to drop anybody who isn't at that point coming, because we get state money for each of our students, so they need to be there, whether it be online or in person, for us to get money for them, right? Is that pretty much it?
And that's what the registrar gets audited on.
Yeah, so Sheila will send you a multitude of emails, and if you don't submit it on the day, you usually have like 2 days, or at least 24 hours, and you'll be getting phone calls on your cell phone if you don't. So do that. Don't forget to do that. And the footsie dates are on the academic calendars.
So it is called early alert, but that doesn't mean if someone was participating and then like end of March, beginning of April, they kind of fall off. Well, it's not really early. Still submit it, because I'd rather try and contact them and see what's happening so that they know their options, because obviously that would be past their own withdraw date. But can they talk to their faculty? Are they having this issue in other classes, or is it just your class? Because you'd be surprised if one student gets one early alert, sometimes they'll get like 3 or 4. Or that's the only one, but they are struggling in other classes. So we really do appreciate getting them. It's a lot of kind of contacting the student, but we want to keep them and we want to retain them. So how do we
So
help
if
them?
one of us sends in an early alert, you look at the total picture of how the student is doing and not just in
So
their class.
we'll mainly report back. So kind of following up with this. So we get the alert, and let's say we call the student, we get their voicemail, so we leave a message. We will put in a note, and what our referral system does is actually send you an email back saying the student has had their first contact. The second and third, not so much, just because I think we have to like force it to refer, but you will get alerted when we close the alert saying we got in contact with the student, this was the outcome, or we ended up emailing them 3 or 4 times and never heard back.
I think my bigger point was if they're having a problem maybe in my class and they have 4 ongoing classes, you look at all 4.
Yes.
As you assess.
Yes, so we'll talk to them mainly about yours, because that was the purpose of the conversation, but we do try to ask them, okay, so that's how your EDU 210 class is going. Well, how's intro to education? How's English? Because then that might open a broader discussion of, are they struggling overall, or is it just maybe because yours is online and it's 7 weeks, so that's a new concept, you know? So trying to.
And the instructor on the form, as you can see, guesses what the issue is. You know, is it
Yes.
study? Is it
missed assignments? Not
So-
participating?
If you guys are getting the same feedback from multiple instructors, then they'll be contacting that person 3 times as much or as often. But a lot of students don't give phone numbers, and it can be hard to track down. So
yes, so
I'll do your best.
I have kids, like students that fizzle out, like so. Like they're all, you know, they're ready with their brand new folder in the beginning of the semester, and then it's just sort of. So I almost see this as an early alert as wake up a little bit. Semester's almost over. I mean, I might even use this more at the end if that's
early in the behavioral change.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Exactly.
It's like it's prevention right here. So
to catch them before they
Like, oh, somebody else is watching me. You know? It's not
Yeah, and a
just
lot
the
of students do kind of halfway through kind of lose the motivation.
yeah, and that's when I find that they stop putting assignments in.
Or like they missed a week of assignments, so they're like, oh, well, I can't catch up. And it's like, well, did you talk to your instructor? Because this early alert says if they contact me by this date, we can make a plan.
Or they don't always do the math. They're like, that was only 10 points, and you have 1,000. So that week is not really going to make or break you. Little things like that.
Is this new?
No.
Oh, yeah.
We try to encourage it. We see
Sorry.
a fluctuation.
I'll use
Like
it from now on.
fall, we usually have a ton come in, but spring it usually drifts off. So we highly encourage it.
If you have any issues with it or you get error messages, let me
Yeah.
know or let Megan know.
Yeah.
Mine still doesn't work for some reason, so I just
Send them.
email you. Sorry, Megan.
And we force them in, so that's okay.
Okay. Perfect.
But we want the feedback. So
I know in the past, the idea used to be, well, students need to pull their own weight and they need to show up and do their stuff. And I mean, we certainly have high expectations, but we're making more of an effort to connect with them, especially with online classes, so it's really hard to get to know them and to reach out to them a little bit more. Now, if you have athletes in your class, you'll get a athletic
next week.
3 month, like twice a semester, to tell how they're doing. If they're not doing well, their coaches are all about figuring out what they need to do to get back on track. So you've got support on that front too.
Yeah, so I'll apologize right now. Those are going to start going out next week. So if you have a lot of athletes in your class, you'll get one for every athlete. For
Is it just,
each
it's an
team.
email that will get it or get it through? Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a kind of an automated email that goes out.
Email with a link, you click on and fill out the information it asks for. It doesn't
Yeah,
take long.
and it goes directly to the coaches for each student, and then advisors assigned to each athletic team will also be able to see that and follow up if there are issues.
I had an athlete last semester kind of fizzle out right around spring break, within last semester, so fall break, whatever. And I talked to them and they're like, yeah, whatever, I'm just busy. And so then I talked to their coach and oh my goodness, it was like day and night. They came in an appointment, they came to talk to me, we made a plan, they stuck with it. So it's nice to have that. Just back you up a little bit. Yeah.
All right, any questions from the Zoom guys?
No, to me, everything's great. I really appreciate what you do. I really appreciate the early alerts. I think it's a phenomenal opportunity to get students back on board. This semester alone, I've been experiencing some fallbacks on some students, and immediately I have background in counseling already as it is, and so I try to help them, get them back forward. So I try to create my own early alert by giving them some extra time. Because I hate to have them fall any more additional time, especially in accounting. It's, with accounting, if you fall behind, it's hard to really catch up because then you guys start everything starts multiplying for them. But the fact that this is available, I think it's incredible to, it's not only helpful for me because it just takes a little bit of stress off, to help my students, but it also, I have a resource that these students can turn to for additional support. So I think that's, it's amazing. I wish this was available 30 years ago when I started with Yavapai College.
It probably was in like the yellow, pink triplicate form, and by the time the form got to the right person,
I just think I gave my age away, but I started 30 years ago. Let me tell you, the campus was so small.
Yeah, I remember. When I went here, you had to register in person. Oh my goodness. So, yeah. It was so different. Our early alerts, do they roll over if you pull somebody up, will you see their past history from years back or just this semester?
So we'll see everything. So that's another reason it's a good record. Like, hey, they've retaken English 101 twice and they've gotten early alerts in English 101 a few times. Okay, so it can kind of
more proactive.
Well, and that can come up in the planning as well. You've got some issues with this class. Maybe you should take that class,
different modality,
or maybe don't take 3 or 4 other classes with that one.
Yeah, quit your second full-time job.
yeah.
Anybody else have questions?
Well, it's more of a peer question. Because I have online classes, and I struggle with, there is such a difference between the number of hours, because you can track how long people are on their, on Canvas, but then some people I think have crazy hours where they walk away, and it's like, I know that their assignments are not 70 hours worth of assignments, but I mean, how can I better track that as far as participation for an online?
I think just to survey them at the end on average, how long did you spend in this class? But you're absolutely right. Some of them might just be printing off everything and reading it, when they're logged off, or it is really hard to tell. Unless your assignments are geared towards identifying that in specific ways, it would be.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Quality of work is supposed to be your biggest thing.
It is quality, but then some people are pretty lucky and then they can put something in.
I swear people have gone all semester without a textbook, and I have a quiz on every single chapter. I think they just Google or something, because we've gotten towards the end and they don't get a good grade. There's my C and D students, but they somehow pull it off. So, I guess I could say, show me your book.
take a selfie with your book.
Yeah, so I know that there's a certain amount of time that a student should be putting towards each credit.
Oh, yes,
But when
it
you're
is.
online, it's sort of hard to.
Don't your discussion groups reflect how much effort they're putting on online?
Well, they have, each week I have an assignment and a discussion.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
they have to log in, but then I'll see, you can tell that some people just spend more time probably going through what I have in Canvas and
Right.
online versus they get in there and they answer real quick and, do the response. And,
Yeah.
I just don't, I guess you just have to.
You just
take it
remind them
like
that
this.
they get out of it what they put in. But then I would argue, just like in our in-class, there are people that are quick and get it and can write really well, and they can be out, half the time as somebody else in trouble. As long as you feel like it's equitable, at least.
Right.
It's sort of those guidelines.
Because initially, like, kind of newbie, I was like, oh, well, these people aren't participating, but they were doing their quizzes and they were doing their assignments. So I had to, like, okay, that's not gonna work.
Well, it's hard too when you're so used to the material that you can just skim through it and you're like understanding everything, and you don't really know how long it takes them.
Yeah.
Because they're seeing it with fresh eyes. Somehow, lack of prior knowledge, and some are really good at school. But yeah.
But mostly just if they're turning in the assignments, I think will be my tracking.
In addition to early alert, I found that if I try to reach out to my students at least once during the semester individually, like via email or a phone call, even though we have a lot of students, that seems to make a really big difference, especially when I get course evaluations back. Like they really like that somebody took the time to reach out on their own, even if it's just to say you're doing good. They don't have to be doing poorly or whatever, even online, just a quick note, hey, how are you doing? How are things going? Let me know. So I would encourage you to do that. I know you're adjuncts and you have other full-time jobs and there's lots going on, but maybe just make a goal to at least reach out to half of them or something at some point.
Yeah, and I found that out, Tara, that works a lot. It's incredible because students really appreciate you more, because of that message that you sent them saying, how you doing? Just checking up on you guys, blah, blah, blah. Let me know, warm regards, blah, and, professor, whatever. So that
Don't
really
give them
helps.
my cell phone number. I don't go that much. But I would like to know a little bit more about them than just, what are your educational aspirations? Are you struggling with anything? Do you have any questions? Any other questions? Before we head off?
No.
All right. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Ms. Sarah.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, group, ladies. I teach cultural diversity and education. Girls, what are you doing? I'll be okay. Great.
Oh, right.
Do y'all get to come in an hour later tomorrow? Yeah, but this is kind of not out of the range. I teach a 5:30 to 8:15 class, and by 8:15.
Yeah. No, it is important to watch. Well, I'll call it.
I remember I
What time do you
looked at
start?
class and I was like, that's
What time do you start?
5:30.
Yes.
to 8:15. No, 5:30
Thank you.
p.m. to 8:15 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So they work all day and then they come at
Yeah.
night,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then they're all like red-eyed and zoned
Mine
out.
was out.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.